This is John and Deanna Peterson, who you might have met in our last episode.
A lot of work. This is just a complete pain.
Since then, they've been very busy. Now, all the new electronics have been installed. The galley is cleaned up and ready to go, and the bunk really is big enough to fit 6-foot 2-inch John. For the last 2 weeks, they've been doing sea trials.
I used the bow thruster for the first time.
And today is their maiden voyage. So come on along, and we'll share the adventure with you.
What time did we depart?
Where the river finally finds its sweet relief. And I got down on my knees, looking for the delta.
This is the way to travel. There is no one on this river. It is a beautiful day out here, and we're just cruising. Our voyage will be from Ottawa, Illinois to Chicago and will last 2 days. Today will be from Ottawa to Joliet, where we'll tie up on what's known as the Free Wall, kind of a boondocking spot in Joliet, 39 nautical miles upriver. The trick will be to make it there before dark, but the wild card is just how long it'll take us to get through each of the 3 locks we've got to pass through. We've heard of stories of anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours per lock. And with Stuga averaging just 5 to 7 knots against the current, it could be a long day.
Oh, sand and ocean, please deliver me. Oh, I heard an ocean that I just can't believe.
Our first lock will be just a mile or so up the river, right here. Now, if you're a worldly person, you might think to pronounce this lock as Marseille, like the town in France. But I grew up around here, and all the locals call it Marseilles. We got lucky right out of the gate.
Coming to our first lock at Marseilles.
And waited maybe 10 minutes for the locks to open. Both John and Deanna are very accomplished sailors, and both have their captain's license. But Stuga is their first power boat, and Marseilles was only the second lock they'd ever been through.
All right, and just like that, we are in the lock. Oh, nice job, Deanna. You greased that one in nicely.
Now, I know by the time they finish the Great Loop, this will be old hat. But for Deanna's first time as captain, she eased Stuga in like a boss.
And this is our first U.S. lock.
By 7:45, we were through our first lock, feeling great, cruising up the river, and enjoying the morning. Early Sunday morning, the river is not very busy.
Lots of cute little campgrounds.
But once we got north of Morris and it got past noon, well, things started to change. The river gets narrower and there's a lot more traffic, both barge and pleasure craft. From Marseilles to our next lock at Dresden was about 25 miles.
All right, I'm going to get set up for starboard tide.
We were lucky to be just behind a Prairie State tug and slipped into the lock without waiting. The doors closed behind us and it started to fill. It was our fastest lockage of the day at just 20 minutes. And at this point, we were feeling pretty good. But our luck was about to change. 15 miles north of Dresden are the Brandon Road locks. As we approached and called for lockage,
I couldn't hear that. That might have been him.
their only response was, "Stand by."
I should let you steer, John.
No, I'm doing fine. I'm just nervous.
So we continued toward the entrance, and that's when we saw a rather large barge getting ready to exit and coming right towards us. They were 2 wide and 3 long, and as you got closer to the entrance, it really gets narrow.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't have much room to sit on the side in neutral, and as the Derrick E slid by, the prop wash really pushed us around.
You know, there were times that surge was so strong, I knew that was going to happen with that boat going through there.
But we made it in.
Nice job.
Oh, thank you.
Second Ballard, port side.
Look at that current.
Then there was more fun. The way the locks fill here is from underneath, and lots of little whirlpools form, pushing us around. Note to self, you should put out a lot of fenders here. Anyway, by 3:30, we'd made it through Brandon Road, and we were headed north to the Joliet Freewall. The Freewall is a known place for loopers and has 330 amp hookups on each of these pillars. But each pillar is about 50 feet apart, so you may need a long power cable. We tied up and watched the barge traffic going by, while Deanna made a fabulous dinner of shrimp, sweet potatoes, and green beans. The next morning, we were up for the sunrise. Clouds had moved in and they were predicting rain. That's when our mutual friends Marv and Deb Ritter came on board.
Morning, sailors.
For the ride into downtown Chicago.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you guys.
And by 7 a.m., we were off. Our first obstacle would be the Jefferson Street Bridge. There's no height on this bridge. Not on the charts,
I know.
not anywhere, not on the bridge, not on the sides of the bridge, not on the charts.
No, you're gonna go up. I'm gonna look. You're gonna approach the bridge slowly and cautiously. And I'll tell you whether you're clear or not.
We would have to inch up to it and see if our antenna would clear.
Now I gotta really, and it's not easy steering this beast.
But we made it. Just barely, as our antenna, which is about 16 feet above waterline, did brush the bottom of the bridge. It would not be our only unmarked bridge of the day.
And then, like, there's two more.
In fact, most of the railroad bridges between Joliet and Chicago were unmarked. And the process would be the same. Inch up to it and be prepared to stop or back up. After 3 bridges, we came to our first lock at Lockport, Illinois.
There's the lock.
We waited for about 15 minutes for them to lower the water
Yes, northbound here in High
Letting water out.
to northbound traffic, and then got the green light to go in.
You have green light, Cap.
Yep. Neutral.
What do you think, Deb? First time through a lock, huh?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And by 8 a.m., we were through the day's first lock. Much of the second day was spent relaxing
It's a beautiful day on the river.
Yes, it is.
and watching the river go by, followed by inching up to low bridges, or as John described it,
Is hours and hours of boredom followed by brief moments of sheer terror.
before the canal reaches the Chicago River, there's an electronic fence which keep the Asian carp from getting into the Great Lakes.
Turn off all the electronics.
We'd turned off all the boat's electronics, so the strong charge in the water wouldn't affect them. Now, we were almost to Chicago, but we had one more low bridge. Just past Canal Street is a rusty old bridge that's only about 10 feet above the water. We didn't know if it was even operable, but as we inched up to it, the operator opened it, and we were into downtown Chicago. This is the part of the journey I was looking forward to the most. I've taken the architectural boat tour before, and that ride through Chicago's iconic skyline is absolutely amazing.
With your hand on your heart, please tell me which way to go, 'cause I sure don't know.
You know, sometimes you get an idea in your head of what it's going to be like before you get there. I'd envisioned a perfect sunset with the light streaming through all the buildings, but that didn't happen. Because the heavens opened up and it began to pour. Traffic on the Chicago River is always busy. There are water taxis, tour boats, police boats, pleasure craft, kayaks, and even a few jet skis. And with the heavy wind and rain, the visibility was getting tough.
I'm down, John.
Check my port side, please.
There were a few tense moments, but Captain Deanna kept her cool and got us into the Chicago locks no problem. And after about 20 minutes, the storm was over. So we made our way to the Chicago Yacht Club, where John and Deanna had a slip for the night. Stuga's maiden voyage was almost over, and what great memories we'd made.
Lost again, going back around.
We'll join John and Deanna again in September.
Dreaming of a time when I get
when they start the Great Loop. In the meantime, I'll be bringing you adventures everywhere from the Blue Ridge Parkway and Shenandoah National Parks to the wine country of California, even a cruise up the Inside Passage to Alaska and Denali. So if you're out there exploring, I hope you have safe travels, and maybe we'll see you out there on the road.
I said you can add this to your portfolio of Mariner crises.
Why is that, John? Let's see what's happening. Oh, it's the Coast Guard.